Hey, so in this video, we're gonna specifically dive deep into the very first section of the reading exam. So in the German B1 reading module, there are obviously three sections as we discussed in previous videos of the course. Section 1 is match the titles, section 2 is reading comprehension, and section 3 is match the adverbs. So in this video, we will do a really deep dive on match the titles and how we can score the maximum point, how this part of the exam is structured, and what you should expect. So in this very first section of the reading exam, match the titles, you have actually 5 text passages or paragraphs, you might say, and you're given 10 titles. So 5 paragraphs and 10 titles, right? And you need to pick the correct title for each of these text passages, right? So that means, like, because there are only 5 paragraphs and 10 titles, that means only 5 of those titles are the correct one, right? The other 5 are just useless. And then of those 5 that you pick, you want to make sure you match the correct title with the correct paragraph, right? So because there are 5 questions or text passages, each question is worth like 5 points, and this whole section is worth 25 points. Now it's kind of important, this section. The reason is it's one of the easier sections where you can score the highest marks. So yeah, I want you to pay real good attention to this part of the video, right? So let me just like go down and actually really show you how you can actually score high marks. But before that, let's see what the actual exams looks like. So this is actually, like, I have taken the screenshot from an actual real model test paper from TELC itself, and here you can clearly see there are like these 5 paragraphs. In the real exam, you will be given these 5 text passages like this, and you will have these 10 titles, and now you need to pick the correct title for each of these text passages, right? So now I'm gonna share with you all the tips and strategies what you can do, right? But let's just quickly try to solve this ourselves first, and let's see, and then I will explain you what tricks I'm using. So the first thing I will do is try to pick the first paragraph or passage, which is the first question, and try to identify the keywords, right? So I can see the keyword computer fan. I can see the computer is appearing quite a bit, right? There's some Hamburg Institute, something is happening there, right? And then like manlish, young, the words manlish and young are also quite visible here, right? And then here's the spiel. So based on these keywords, I can quickly skim through the titles that are given to me, right? And try to determine which title is the correct one for this one. So here actually I see only 2 titles that are relevant for the computers, right? So one is C, option number C, der Computer liebsten Hobby von Deutschland freuen, and the other one that I see is like I, Umfrage, verwendet Computer Hauptstiegen, right? So the rest of the titles are already eliminated because they don't mention the word computer or anything related to computer, right? So they don't mention schlafen or anything else. So using just keyword matching, I was able to quickly eliminate all the wrong answers and then narrow it down to only 2 or 2 titles, right? So now between these 2 titles, like C, liebsten Hobby Deutschland Frauen, is it going to be C or is it going to be Umfrage, then Computer Hauptstiegen? So if you remember the keywords that we identified, it mentioned words like manlish and young. It didn't mention anything about women, right? So it's unlikely that the answer is C. In fact, the correct answer for this is I, Umfrage, right? And if you are at B1 level and you have worked on some vocabulary, you might already know that the word Umfrage actually means survey, right? That means like that kind of matches because the paragraph starts, the first sentence of the paragraph starts with where is the typische computer fan, who is a typical computer fan, right? So generally, if you have understanding about some popular culture, young boys tend to be more into computers and video games, right? So that also gives us some hint, right? On top of that, in the second sentence, it mentions like this institute in Hamburg. That means some institute in Hamburg is conducting some sort of survey, like who is a popular computer fan, right? And then they found out like it's a male young person, right? So definitely not Frauen. And using these kind of keyword matching, right, and then focusing on the first and the last sentence of the paragraph, we can quickly identify the correct title of this paragraph, right? So the correct answer for this one is I, Umfrage. Let's go on to the next one, right? This one talks about Bahn and bike, so it's everything is about bike, cycling, and then train, the very first word itself, right? So again, like if we just look at the quickly have a high level overview, right? We can already figure out and cut out all the other titles, right? So for example, number D sounds very interesting because it's Bahn, and it also has Radfahrer, which means like cyclist, right? So it could be this one, or what else is there which has Bahn in this, right? Family Reisen mit der Bahn, so family traveling with the Bahn, right? But the literally the whole paragraph starts with Bahn and bike. The whole paragraph, like the first word is like, you know, train and bike. So it doesn't talk about family traveling through the train. It really just talks about some sort of special offer. If I see like if we just like kind of zoom into this, we see like costed €5, right? So it's some sort of a discount, some sort of an offer. As far as I can understand, it's about Rad as well, right? So you can actually just by keyword matching in this case, right, figure out that okay, the only title that makes sense here is actually Neue bei der Bahn, which means like new at the Bahn, special information and a special offer for cyclists basically. So Bahn and bike, this title D makes immediate sense, right? So just by keyword matching, you were able to quickly kind of eliminate the rest of the titles, right, and figure out the correct passage for this title for this passage. So yeah, this is really powerful. You see this like in the real exam, you can implement this strategy, and like you should be able to get like 5 out of 5 correct, or you at least, if your vocabulary is really bad, then still you should be able to get 4 out of 5 correct, right? And the idea is like you don't just do this one model paper, you practice a lot, and that way you will be able to like really like just ace this part of the exam, right? So okay, so now let's move on to the title number 3, right, which is like something about Thema Schlafen. So there's some Schlaf I hear, which again, if you have even an A1, right, you know Schlaf is about sleeping, right? And what else does it talk about? It talks about book. So das Buch in Apotheker. So it's like sleeping and then is book. So I don't know, Störung means problem. The word Störung has problems, like if you have rough understanding of German, right? So some sleeping problem, and there's some sort of a book, right? Just by keyword matching, again, you can like see like again most of the titles here do not match. There's nothing about tourism, so J is not valid. Family, again, A is not valid. B looks very interesting, right? Book tip, health by Schlaf problem. So it's like a tip from a book that can help you with sleeping problems. Is there any other really sentence that talks about sleeping, right? So there is this one like that mentions the word Schlaf, right? Neo am Macht billig Schlaft Latin, but apparently it's like someone selling like from this, like not all keywords match, right? Here both the keyword in this paragraph we found 2 keywords, like right, the Schlaf, right, sleeping, and book, right, which is present both in B. Book tip is there and Schlaf is there. But in number E, actually, it's like something about market and cheap beds for sleeping somehow, right? So this is indeed wrong, and just by keyword matching, we were able to figure out that actually the correct title for passage number 3 is indeed B, which is book tip, health by Schlaf problem. Again, you see how powerful is this? So you don't have to read the whole passage. That's what I want to really drive through. You need to focus on the keyword, and there's a good reason. Look, if you're appearing in the B1 exam, right, and if you try to read all the passage, there will be words in the passage that are beyond B1 level, and you might not know all the vocabulary, and you might just panic. And what I want you to do is like not panic basically. Instead, find the keywords in these passages, right? That's the whole idea. Find the keywords, underline them, quickly identify like two titles that might be a good fit, and then like use common sense and process of elimination to figure out the correct answer. So let's look at the passage number 4, right? So this is very interesting. It says family rising. Okay. So family is traveling. Okay, and it also says Bahn. So family is traveling through Bahn or train. So this A already sounds interesting, right? Family rising Bahn. Okay, that's one option, right? But there's another option called family rising Billiger. So it's cheaper, or is it traveling through Bahn? So these are the two titles, right? Option number A and option number F that could be potentially for true for passage number 4, right? So now we need to determine which one is the correct one. The rest of them are totally irrelevant. We can cross them out, eliminate them, because they don't match with our keywords like family and Ryzen, right? So among these two, which title should we pick? So we need to figure out what's the emphasis. Is the emphasis on Billiger or cheaper, or is the emphasis on traveling Ryzen mid their Bahn, like traveling with the train? So if you look at the passage, right, I see this word noch ein günstig, gutes Stück günstiger. So it's saying like it's even more cheaper, right? It's saying traveling by family is cheaper. And if I kind of like look further more, it says baby, gross papa, super Sparpreis. Sparpreis, if you're living in Germany, Sparpreis means cheap or discount, right? So and then it says, okay, for babies free, for under 17 somewhat discounted. I get that kind of vibe. So it's focused more on the price of the travel, right, rather than like families traveling by the train. That's why the correct title of this is actually F, because it's billiger, it's cheaper, it's günstig, right? These are the keywords, right? From there we were able to figure out, and using this process of elimination and just basic common sense and A1 level of vocabulary, not B1 level, just A1 level vocabulary, we were able to quickly identify the correct passage for this for correct title for this passage, right? So this is the idea behind this whole section of the reading exam. Again, each question is worth 5 points. So if you get 5 out of 5 right, you already secure 25 points, and you only need 135 points to pass the written exam. So if you just score 5 out of 5 in this, which is very easy, as you can see, this is an actual model paper from TELC, you should be able to like score really high marks, right? The number 5th is like about tourism, right? And like it's about like East Germany, Ostdeutschland culture, a whole bunch of stuff like that, right? So which one should we pick? So let's see. What I see basically is this one is interesting because it uses the word culture, right? H, culture Urlaub, right? Or it could be like, because Touristen, the word starts with Touristen, right? It could be J, which is Deutschland, immer mehr Touristen, right? So which one should we pick, right? So this title is like the emphasis on the culture in the Urlaub, in vacation, the emphasis of culture in the vacation, right? The other one is more about like, there are more tourists traveling to the west side of Germany. So if we look at the again the passage ourselves, so there is the word Touristen, which matches this one, and Urlaub Kultur is there, which matches this one. But one interesting thing that I notice is like Ostdeutschland. This mentioned Ostdeutschland instead of West. There's a focus on Ostdeutschland here, which is actually contradicts with this one J, because here it talks about Western. Ost is east, right? So that already kind of eliminates this title, right? So we only left with this, and then we do match with other stuff, like for example here you can see Kulturpause and Urlaub. So a lot of other words are matching with this culture in Urlaub. That's why the correct title for the final 5th passage is number H. And like again, you just saw that like just by keyword matching, using the process of elimination, we were able to just like quickly identify the correct title for each passage in much less time as well, and we got the correct answer. And this is how you can score 5 out of 5. So now I'm gonna show you a structured strategy on how you can actually execute it. So yeah, in germanprep.com. So like yeah, so let's check that out. Okay, so now that you have an idea what the first module of the reading exam looks like, and what is the what are the questions, like you have given a bunch of passages and a bunch of titles, you need to match the correct titles. Let's go through the exact concrete strategy on how you would execute it, right? So you will be again given a paragraph, right, like this, like, and then the first thing you need to do, right, is highlight the keywords in those paragraphs. So for example, in this sample paragraph, right, I want, like, I want you to highlight the keywords, right? Like for example, like if you, for this specific paragraph, far out, far in, that is like auto farer, right? All these kind of like start like rules, right? Far out, far in. So far out, far in is occurring a lot. Regal means rules, or regelung means rules. So you know, these are the keywords that I am noticing, right? Again, this regal is appearing again and again. And unfall, which means like accidents, city, safety, right? So these are the keywords that I have identified. So that's the first thing you need to do. So the step number one to acing the first section or any reading exam is to, whatever passage you have, highlight the keywords, just like I have done in this case, right? Once you're done with that, move on to step number two. Step number two is like using the keywords that you have highlighted, eliminate the obviously wrong titles, right? So for example, here we have highlighted far out, far in, and regal. Regal is there, the word regal, and regal is there again. So that means like this option, neo regalum, cannot be eliminated because it's matching with the keyword, right? Similarly, the word farad and unfal is here, which matches this option, so this cannot be eliminated. But I don't see any word related to Friesiten in this passage or family, right? I don't see that. So I will eliminate this because it's totally irrelevant. I don't see any family mentioned in the passage or this. So you don't need to learn any vocabulary for this. Just by keyword matching, right? Even if you don't know any vocabulary, just by matching the keywords, you should be able to eliminate all the wrong titles, and you should be left with only two titles. You know, that might be a potential answer for it. So that already increases your chance to get the answer right by 50%, right? Which is amazing. Now, the third and the final step is like, now if you have found two titles, both of these two titles might look plausible or might have like the keywords, similar keywords, right? Then you need to really focus on the first and the last sentence and read that options carefully, right? To figure out what is the emphasis of that passage, right? So for example, first let me read the two option titles, right? So the first is new rules, new regulum, new rules, start fakir, new rules for the city traffic, right? Or the second one is Fahrrad Unfall, cycle accident, immer, always, häufiger, frequently. So cycling. So now we need to focus on, like, based on these two options, whether the focus of this paragraph is on the new rules or is it about, like, you know, Fahrrad Unfall or cycling accident, right? The way you can do it is actually focusing on the first and the last sentence of the paragraph. So if you look at the first and the last sentence of the paragraph, you will find something interesting. You will say Fahrrad Farin, right? Cycling, city, immer sicher, right? Cycling in city is becoming safer. So that's the first sentence. That's the emphasis. Like, okay, cycling in the city is becoming safer, right? And then focus on the last sentence, especially in cities. Besonders starten viele Verkehr. Oh, I see the last sentence also mentions the word regal, rules. So if you have know a bit of German basic vocabulary, you know it. This sentence means that especially cities with a lot of traffic, the rules are already working, and, like, you know, the city is seeing much less accidents and is much more safer. So once you kind of focus on the first and the last sentence of the paragraph, right, as the final step, it will be clear to you that option 2 is incorrect, because option 2 is actually contradicting with what the paragraph is saying. It's saying like, oh, cycle accidents are becoming more frequent, which is not true. The paragraph, the first and the last sentence, if you focus, is saying, oh, it's becoming safer. So just by noticing these contradictions, right, you can actually eliminate, get the final answer, which is going to be this one. And, you know, that's like a structured approach that you can use to tackle the first section of the reading exam. So if you follow this really deep, like simple and structured approach, you don't need some fancy vocabulary. Even if you have actually A2, B1, A1, A2 level vocabulary, you should be able to actually score pretty decent mark in this sections, right? Just by following the structured approach. What is the structured approach? Step number 1, highlight the keywords. Step number 2, eliminate the obviously wrong choices that don't match those keywords. And finally, step number 3, focus on the first and the last sentence of the passage, and then try to figure out which what is the emphasis. Basically, in this case it was safety and rules, right? Safety was mentioned first and then rules was mentioned, so that's why this is the correct answer. So now you know the exam structure, and you also know how the exam works. You have seen the model test paper, and you also know the 3 strategy, like how you can score the exam. The final thing you need actually to ensure that you get 25 out of 25 marks in this exam is practice, and lots of practice. The more practice you do, it will just become second nature to you, and in the real exam you will be able to just do it very quickly. So now you can actually, in German prep, you can just like go to the reading section and actually do as many practice exams as possible every single day. So this is how you will do it. You can just you will it will even have a 20-minute timer, and then here you will be given the passage and all the 10 titles, and using this passage you can actually then follow the strategy that we discussed, right? Highlight the keywords, eliminate the obviously wrong choices, and then pick the correct answer. Okay, so for example, here I can highlight the keywords, right? For example, Gesundheit is there, Renaissance is there, Wohlbefinden is there. This word is occurring quite a lot, right? Therapy, intervention is occurring a lot, right? So these things are interesting, basically, that are already present, right? And then, like, if you even, like, I have added additional features here. So let's say even if you do not know the meaning of a specific word, right? So you can always translate the word, and it will tell you, like, Achtsamkeit means mindfulness, right? So just by like quickly highlighting this thing, right? Like these high level words, right? I can just, praxis means a clinic, right? Meditation, right? So this whole passage feels something about, like, meditation, mindfulness, therapy, focus, like that sort of stuff, right? Well-being, right? So let's, like, now that we have highlighted some basic words, let's try to eliminate the obviously wrong choices, right? So for example, we don't see anything about national park, right? So that's obviously wrong, so we should like eliminate this. So cross it out, right? And then, like, it's nothing about kunst or art. There's nothing art, there's no mention of art here, right? It's about wellness, so like just eliminate this as well. There's nothing about tourism as well, so let's eliminate this as well, right? Similarly, oh, this one is interesting. The importance of Achtsamkeit. So this could be in daily life, this could be interesting, right? And what else could be interesting? So Grundlage Audioaufnahme, there's nothing about like audio related stuff, so we can also cut this out. New Horizon, Mir means sea, I don't know, this is also not relevant, let's cut this out as well, right? Wissenschaft means like knowledge, right? This none of these keywords mentioned here, so let's remove that as well, right? And like modern like it talks about modern medicine system, but like I don't know, like this doesn't, we already have actually found the one, right? Which one is like Achtsamkeit, meditation in modern day-to-day life, and the other one is like meditation technician or something like that. So these two seems more promising, the rest we can actually just like cross it out. Now the focus should be like whether we should pick this one or this one, right? So again, like, what's the focus? It says like Achtsamkeit and meditation, a modern Alltag, right? So it talks about like the passage is talking about like mindfulness and meditation in day-to-day, modern day-to-day life, right? And this also is like something along that line, right? But the second one does talk about meditation, but it says meditation techniques or something in different cultures. And the Geschichte means stories, right? So like this does not talk about stories. It really goes deep into like clinical stuff and that sort of stuff. So this is the correct answer to the best of my guess, right? And I can eliminate the final choice, and then I can move to the next step. And like obviously the video will get very long if I just like go through all of them, but I'm just gonna pick now some random answers, and my score will be really bad. But here you can actually also, by the way, like focus on the first and the last sentence, right? So just like we did in the actual thing, you can using this, like pick the correct answer. Yeah, for the sake of, like, I want to show you the final result once you have actually selected all the answers right for all the questions. Like, you will see your results. So in this case, I got 2 answers correct out of 5, right? So I got 10 out of 25 points. Obviously I did it randomly, because the video will get too long, so I wanted to avoid that. But yeah, like, look at that. The first answer that we picked, like this one, the correct title selected. So we selected the correct title. This was a text, and we selected this, and it even explains you why this is the correct title in English, so you have a good understanding of what this is. And then you can go to next, and then all the mistakes that you have made, right? Like, I selected this title for the second passage, and then the correct answer was this, and then it gives you an explanation. And the idea behind it, behind this, is like, you should practice as much as possible, right? And because this whole feature also has the option to see translations and highlight the sentences, so you can follow the same structured framework that I shared with you, like the 3 tips on how to score the high in the exam. All you have to do now is, like, using this, like, practice like 5 exercises, 10 exercises every day. Just practice 10 exercises every day. If you, like, literally do 10 exercises every day, at some point you're not only improving your vocabulary, you will get just so used to the process that in the actual exam you would be able to, like, score really, really high marks. And one thing I want to tell you, like it's a B1 level exam, right? So they're not gonna give you some topic like, I don't know, the philosophy of Nietzsche, right? Or that sort of stuff. Because, that's just way beyond B1 level. You're not doing C2. So they will be giving you paragraph or passages that are somewhat related to the real world, right? That every common man can understand, right? Or common women can understand, right? It's not going to be super technical, right? So that really helps you as well, right? So if you do, like, a lot of these exercises, at some point you will already have a general idea of all the topics that usually come in the exam, right? And then you should be able to, like, really, really easily get like 25 out of 25 marks in this thing. Yeah. And the best part is you can just practice unlimited sections of this type of exam, and others as well, obviously, for listening and reading comprehension and match the adwords. But this video is focused on this first sections, right? Match the titles. So you can practice as much as you want. And I would recommend you actually practice, if you have an exam coming up soon, 5-10 times of this thing, and then you should be able to pass the exam with very, very high marks. So yeah, this video was a bit long, but I really hope that it helps you. And just give me any feedback in the comment if you have, and, like, yeah, I wish you good luck in the actual exam.